Hey, we're live.
We're live.
Welcome to the organized, unorganized show of Tim and Katrina.
Don't you love it when people go on Facebook and they say, okay, so now we're live.
3, 2, 1. That's a discussion we probably should have is what is the protocol to going live with a video stuff?
I know. It's like, it drives me nuts when people just say, and now we're live. I'm so-and-so, and this is so-and-so, and I'm happy to have you here. It's like, oh my God.
You can tell, you can tell the fakeness. You can tell some people still have got the blue light syndrome. You know what I mean? I don't. Well, in this show, because it's different, I still don't have a rhythm down, but like my regular Tim Gillette show, I got a system down for going live. All right. And if you ever watch it, I do the same thing every time. I mean, we're live. It's Tim Gillette with the Tim Gillette show. It's like, I just do it. I don't care.
It just drives me nuts. Or they're doing, and I get it. You got to do it. You got to do it. I get it. You got to go out there. You got to start doing it. So I understand it. But it drives me nuts when they're on live. They're holding their camera like this, and so I'm live, and we're in the lovely La La La. What we're going to talk about today, and it's just like, oh my God.
This is the early days of what Sandra D. Robinson used to do. Was the early days is what to do when the camera went live, because that was what it was. It was so many people who were just not comfortable.
No.
Now we're on Zoom so much that so many people, they're used to getting on a call with people, but they're not used to making a show or a broadcast in that first thing. And it's the things you do in the beginning that keeps people there. I know we don't have a show. Maybe we'll eventually create a show intro or something like that. But like I have a way I go live, and everybody's like, well, why don't you have a show intro for my lives? It's because it's used in, and we're going to do it with this too, where it's going to actually be put onto a podcast, and the audio starts out a whole different way because I have an intro song that comes on, a sponsorship ad. Then it's another little ditty music, and then it actually goes into the show. So, it plays into that. And then I got to come up with some way to do it to where I can put bumpers on the YouTube channel for the YouTube one. I'm trying to make every one just a little bit different rather than just copy to pot, anyway. But.
Yeah. That's the life of an entrepreneur. Taking one thing and stretching it out and putting it on all different platforms so that you get the best bang for your buck.
It's called get the plane in the air and keep building it as you're flying.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can get you build. Make sure the wings are working, all right. But you got to build the landing gear before you come back down. Otherwise, it's not pretty.
No. Especially if you start running out of fuel, then you're in big trouble.
Yeah, maybe build a fueling system to keep you fueled while you're up there. Yeah.
No, you can talk to the Air Force. Hey, can I get some fuel while I'm up here?
Yeah. Can I get one of them fueling rigs to come by? Do you remember watching that Harrison Ford movie, in Air Force One, where they actually showed them fueling the plane? And they can, by the way, they can fuel Air Force One live in the air. That thing can stay up in the air unlimited.
Forever if it needs to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, it's as long as they get stuff that can come up. So if the world crashes around it, the president can stay up there.
Yep. Well, Robert's joined us. Hi, Robert.
It's Robert. Welcome to the show today, Robert.
One fan. Yay, Robert.
I think he's almost like our number one fan, isn't he?
I know. We love Robert.
We have a number one fan.
Oh, we love Robert.
It's still cool to have a number one fan finally.
Yes. Would you like to
took us 6 episodes to get it.
Robert will be in charge of our fan club. The fan club of one for now, but there'll be many. Millions. You'll see.
How many times have you started shows out? I'm just curious. How many times have you done live stream shows or podcast shows, Katrina?
I have several because I have a podcast that I did with my partner in crime and with Janet Coons that we haven't updated or anything because she's got some medical issues that she's dealing with right now. But it's called Let's Talk About Business. And we've got the bumper in the front. We've got the bumper in the back. We've got it all laid out. We have it all dialed in. It's all about business and a topic that we go through. I mean, it's got good information. And then we talk about our membership site and joining and that type of thing, but it's kind of been put on the wayside, and I got to try and reroute into that again and start getting that perpetuating again, and then trying to get Janet involved in such a way so that she's still there, but you know what I mean? Somehow. I'm still trying to figure that all out. But we've been running that for, gosh, we have 30 some episodes that are up on YouTube and not YouTube. We've got it on iTunes, and we've got it on all of the platforms, iHeartRadio, all of them. It's just we've got to keep it going, and so
which we will be. All of our stuff will be up on all of that. I'm thinking like this is episode 6, so episode 7. I said I do 7 first, and then I'll launch it. And then it'll come out. We'll have it come out every week on the audio, and we haven't discussed how the schedule is going to work and everything with recording this on Friday as a live show, and then putting it on podcast. But that system will be done, and website. That's the other thing we're going to do is we're going to do a website, right?
Yeah. Yep, exactly. We're going to create a website, a logo. You're going to get to choose which logo looks good, and I mean it's all a work in progress, and we just wanted to see how this would dial in. And Tim and I decided to do this because we're so good at talking to each other and bouncing ideas off. And
no, it's really because we were both so lonely during the pandemic. We wanted to talk to each other more often.
I know. Tim, you wanted to do
I wanted another redhead to talk to. All right. The one redhead wasn't enough. I needed another one.
We're spicy. We spice things up. Spicy. Well, we have a lot of topics to talk about, and the first one that I think is a really good one right now that we can get the audience involved and hopefully get some comments back is why corporate America has become stagnant. And here's the thing that just blows my mind away. With this whole COVID thing, people started working from home. And for the longest time, corporate said, no, you can't work from home. No, none of this flex hours. No, it doesn't work. However, statistics showed that 95% of productivity went up for people working from home than working in the office. And they saved literally billions of dollars because they didn't have to pay for all of the office space that they had. Now offices are trying to get those same employees that they promised to continue working from home back into the office. Why? It makes no sense to me.
Well, all right, if you actually Google statistics, it'll tell you that 73.6% of statistics are made up.
Yeah, possibly.
No, serious, possibly. I mean, just because it's on Google doesn't mean it's right, first of all.
That's possible. But here's the thing, though. I mean, to me, I've been working from home for a long time because I'm an entrepreneur, and so have you. So we're used to it. But it was a new paradigm for a lot of these people that are working in offices. They never thought that's something they could actually do and actually manage to be productive. But they've proven, I mean, article after article, and yes, it could be false news, whatever.
It wasn't just before COVID, all right? If you remember reading 2009 or 2010 when Tim Ferriss's book came out, The 4-Hour Workweek, and he talked about this very concept. Corporate America is still pretty much paid on an hourly basis. So basically they're buying an hour of your time, and that may be the reason they want you in the office. They're buying an hour of your time, as opposed to what they're learning through COVID now is just like Tim Ferriss said, just because you give me 10 tasks does not mean it's going to take me 8 hours to do them.
No.
If I actually have if I am a disciplined person, I can possibly do those same 10 tasks in my time frame in 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
But here's the flip in the corporate world now. Now the corporate world is going, well, I used to pay you $15 an hour to do those said tasks. You now can do them in 3 hours. So now I want to pay you for 3 hours time instead of 8 hours time.
Yeah.
This has got an argument on either side, a dispute on either side.
Exactly.
And that's it. But I see the fact because I have worked from home, and I think you are too. I'm very disciplined about what I do and how I run my day. That doesn't mean that I don't screw up and screw off. I do quite a bit, part of my day. But the average person has not become, maybe they did during COVID, maybe they didn't, but they don't become disciplined. know what I mean? Yeah, statistics can show that we work better from home, and I'm going to agree with them because, gosh, I've been doing it for 11 years, right? Yeah. But to the average worker, this is the first time he's ever experienced this kind of freedom.
But here's the thing, though, too. I also read a book that talked about working in the 21st century. Mm-hmm. And he stated that our future in regards to offices is they're no longer going to be offices, or they're no longer going to be employees. Mm-hmm. Everybody's going to be contractors. So they're all going to be 1099s. They're all going to be responsible for their own taxes and their own insurance and so forth. And people go, what? Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. If they're paying you more money and you have enough to go in and get your taxes and do all of that and get your insurance, you're still making the same amount. But now you have the freedom to do it from home, or go in and do the hours that you need to work. And you can work for various different companies because you're a 1099.
Yeah.
And that's what I think corporate America is missing. They're missing that disconnect between the manager thinking, I have to have these employees here so I can make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, the micromanaging. Or you've also got like we talked about, there are a lot of people that can do what some people it takes them 4 hours, they can do in 1 hour.
Yeah.
So, okay, so then they can do that in 1 hour. So why should they be chastised and said, okay, well, we're just going to pay you for an hour because I'm doing my work more efficiently than the other person that's taken 4 hours? I get, why? That doesn't make any sense. So I think it's going to be a new shift. It's going to be a new paradigm. And the thing is now for the first time, employees have the power, whereas the employers have the power. Because now they have the power where they're saying, you know what? I liked working from home. You promised me I could work from home. And so I quit. I found this other job who's letting me do it at a higher rate. Yeah. And now they're fighting over employees and saying, well, what if we offer you this and we offer you that and you offer, well, how about if we just offer you 2 days in the office and then 3 days? And they're going through these bidding wars to find good help because everybody's saying, I'm out of here. I'm done. I'm tired of this. I'm done.
Yeah, but not everybody. I mean, there are some companies, there's I use this company here for our local meetup. All right. They offer us classrooms at night and it's part of their business structure. And I was talking with our manager, who was the manager the night. I mean, they give us a person who looks over whoever's using the meeting room. And I was talking with her this past week and she said, now she started with, working, she was working 5 days at home, and then they gave her the option to come into 2. And eventually she's like, screw it. I want to come back in here 5 days a week. Why? Because when I come here and do my work at home. All right. Anything goes wrong at home, I got to get up from my work and go manage it. And I get that. That's been my life for 11 years. All right.
I understand that.
Yeah. But there are people out there like her. She's like, no, I can't wait to come back. And, these companies like that their company relies very much on technology to work. So
true.
Working off of home internet, while we all think our home internet is great, we're learning the biggest thing, like here, I learned it here in the complex, of how well it got throttled down with all the people working from home. Because everybody's trying to go out now broadcasting on Zoom. Whereas I used to broadcast all the time, with just a broadcast, and it affects bandwidth. It affects the internet. Well, sure. Corporations and offices, they've got the bandwidth built in to do that.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. That's very true. And there's that yin and yang, and what works best for one as opposed to other. I personally think it should be a flex thing. You give those employees that feel like they can work better in the office, have them work in the office, and those employees who feel they can work better at home, have them work from home. If they're still producing and they're still getting the work done, what does it matter if they're in the office or they're not? That's the way I look at it.
Or also the way you can look at it is, America was built on a free choice idea. I don't know if anybody realizes this. It's a free choice. If you don't like the job, all right, based on the parameters they gave you, you can quit.
And I know some people are realizing then that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Some people for years, I mean, depending on what the job market is like. Right now, the job market's good to go job hopping.
Yep. Yeah.
All right.
Very good. Very good.
That can turn in a heartbeat and it can become bad. All right.
It could.
Yeah.
It could. It could. And it depends on the sectors, what sectors and what industry you're working. I mean, that's got a whole thing to it as well. But I mean, personally, I really like I think people can learn to they can learn to work that out. It's just that it's one of those things that now they've been doing it for almost a year. Mm-hmm. And so some of them are getting used to it, and they're jiving. They've got things going. They manage to do more at home as well as work. I mean, personally, I get things done quicker a lot of times than most. So because of that, I can go do my laundry. I can go work on a couple projects. Then I can go do something else, and I can work on a couple of projects, and I get a ton done. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. I get more done at home than I would in the office, because with my particular position, which was an admin, it was an executive admin, we got interruptions constantly. So we didn't get a lot of work done, because it was, can you make a copy of this? Oh, can you go do this? Can you go grab lunch for blah, blah? So you got all these interruptions. So you got a lot less done. And I proved this when I worked at Amgen. I was the overseer of all of the ACs, which the administrative coordinators in our group. And they were complaining about how they were working overtime, and the manager was saying, why is everybody working overtime? So we had them tick off every time they were getting interrupted and what it was for. When I showed that to the managers and how much wasted time and money they were doing, they were blown away. And at that point they said, okay, managers, you're doing your own copies. You're doing this, because they need to do these, and we're paying them to do these projects. You need to do your own stuff. Mm-hmm. And it produced, the productivity went up because of that. But it had to be proven before they can actually see it. And when it comes to management, what I've learned, it's the bottom dollar. How much money are we wasting, or how much money are we making? As soon as they know that piece, okay, this is working, we're saving more money, then let's do it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's costing us more money, then let's not do it.
But every company has to come up with their own plans. And if you don't like the company you're working for, you can always leave and go to somewhere else. Yeah. However, that has pluses and minuses. Everything has a plus and minus to it. All right. Yeah, exactly. All right. The option we've had with this concept over here is now, for the first time in history, we've actually given people new options for working.
Yep.
All right. And while we were thinking of, hey, we need to save everybody and get everybody home, we weren't thinking of the long-term effects of this, because the contract before you went to work from home may say one thing, and the contract wasn't rewritten just because you had to go work from home. Yep. So now you're stuck into a position where you go, this is what I agreed to originally. Those were exceptional circumstances, but you go, okay, if you want to keep your job, you got to come back and honor our contract. All right. And I don't know, it's going to be a game that's going to be hard to play either side for a long time.
Yep. Until everybody figures it out, and until they figure out what's going to work. And it's going to be business by business. And that's how
because I can't imagine the guy from Starbucks making my coffee from home every day. Although if he did come to my house and I had the espresso machine, he made it for me, I would be happier. All right. I would never get out of my pajamas.
Well, and that's the other thing. There are some businesses you can't work from home. And those people right now, they're having a hard influx on keeping too, because they were working during the whole COVID. The people that were working in the hospitals, the people that were cleaning all the rooms.
I really don't want the doctor to come here and do an operation in my bedroom. I'm just saying, right? You're not operating on my heart in my bedroom.
That's that commercial. Did you see the guy where the doctor's on the Zoom call and he says, okay, now take the scalpel and just go from the top all the way down. It's okay. I'm right here. You can do it. He's going, shouldn't you be? And he's like, no, I got you. We got the nurses here just in case you need anything. Go ahead, start. It's like,
But that is so many jobs, Katrina, that are out there that's it. You got to do that. But and I do remember when I actually years ago when I first started working for Starbucks, I worked in a mall, and rental was so cheap in that mall at the time that one of the managers says, "I'm thinking about just renting this warehouse in the back and living here. It's cheaper than my apartment." Yep. And he said, "I can just picture me walking out through the mall in my bathrobe in the morning to get my morning coffee at Starbucks."
Wouldn't that
He's working from home.
Yep, exactly. I mean, it's going to be one of those conversations that there's one side and there's the other side, and there's no real middle to this. It's either yang or the yang. That's it. Right. There's really no way. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. No.
I guess what I did. All right, I got a new topic.
Sorry.
Right. So watch this neat trick for our next topic.
Oh, nice.
I should have done this to begin with. All right.
I know.
The topics ahead of time. I should type them in to bring up as banners as we talk about it.
I know. And this is one I'm grappling with right now.
Okay. Yeah. I want to hear. I know you're dealing with this right now. I mean, I'm always looking for new clients, but I have a system that actually doesn't require more of my time.
Yeah. And that's the hardest part though, because we build websites and membership sites, and you need more of a team to help you do that because it's a time consuming project. Yeah, so I'm working on building that team. And for the first time in my business, I'm putting the CEO hat on because this has been a hard one for me. I don't like letting the work go because I'm very control oriented. I like to control it all and make sure, don't do this and do that and do this. So it's hard for me to let that go. And even when I've got something that comes to me that's a challenge, I say, okay, I'll figure it out. I'll learn how to do this and I'll do it. But it takes time and energy to do that. So now I'm starting to build that team, and the way I'm doing it is through other vendors and other business owners that are already doing that without having to say, okay, I'm going to send out to get applications for all these employees. I mean, I'd rather go with somebody who's already doing it. And just do
that goes down to the Uber model. All right. When Uber come out with their business model, think about that. We're not going to hire taxi drivers. We're going to hire people to use their own cars.
Yep.
But that in the long term, I mean, it's a great plan. I love it. But in the long term, I remember, last year, the big argument in California over it. Well, we want our benefits. We want a union. We want, like,
you're not an employee.
You're not an employee. It's like, I mean, you want both. You want the benefits of both. All right. Both sides have down and both sides have up.
Yeah.
All right. When you're trying to grow your business, all right, using outsourcing, this is why we do this. We outsource our business by hiring other people I want to empower other people to be self-employed. I don't want to be an employer. I really don't want to employ a team because it costs insurance. All right. It costs health insurance. Taxes are more. All right. I don't want that. I want to pay you. All right. Rather than paying you $7, or let's just use the round figure of $10 an hour. All right. That $10 an hour to have you as an employee cost me $20 an hour. I'd rather pay you $15 an hour and freelance it.
Yep.
I save myself $5 an hour.
And as a freelancer, you get more money.
Yeah.
You get more in the long run. And nowadays, I mean, we're still working on it as a government, and that's a whole other story when it comes to insurance. But that is a lot of the reason, going back to our previous topic, that's a lot of reason why people don't quit is because of the insurance. But because companies have been paying so much in it, now they're taking that cost and putting it down to the employee, and they're paying a lot more. So, I mean, just with this and trying to build that team too, a lot of stipulations out there too is that if you have a certain amount of employees, you have to provide benefits. That's another cost. And I'm not saying I don't want to do that, but I'm not in that position to do that now. And I would rather give that work off to another company that's already doing that, and they already have the staff to do it. I mean, it just makes more sense to me at this point in time. Doesn't mean it won't happen down the road that we'll hire our own team and have employees. It just depends on how big and how lofty we want to get. But I still like the model of doing the freelancing. You do your own thing and you do it for us.
But freelancers are going to have to understand. Now, I have a good friend of mine was on my show last year, Julie Cortez up in, I think she's up in Kansas City. And Julie, I mean, she's all about freelancing, and that's her whole topic that she talks on is freelancing and copyright, freelancing copywriters. And the actual person who's doing self-employed is not looking at all of the costs it costs. So, like, again, let me go back to my model of, I mean, I could pay you $10 an hour in labor and give you the benefits, which end up costing me $20, or I can pay you $15 an hour. You take care of your own benefits. You take care of your own taxes. Most people are not sitting in there and looking at what are all the expenses it takes to be self-employed. They don't look at that, realizing that basically now they may be only making, after they pay their expenses to do it, $7 or $8 an hour of the 15. But if you learn to be efficient with your time, efficient with doing things like we talked in our earlier topic, I can now do the job instead of taking 8, I can do it in 4. Well, now if you can do that you can take on more customers. because as a freelancer, and that in return helps me and you expand our businesses by hiring other people, and that they can expand their business because when they learn to be efficient, they can take on more customers. So now it's not on you and me to be able to service our 10 customers. We've got to take on a staff of so many. No, we've got a bunch of freelancers, and now those freelancers can now do the same task for a bunch of other little companies. You see what I mean? Yep. And what this does is I think it's a long-term benefit to our economy.
I think so too, because people are more efficient, and they realize how much money they need to make their monthly fees or whatever, and they're making more because they're asking for more. That's the whole thing that I don't think they understand, and most people are willing to pay that, especially if they've got something that they really need. They're willing to pay a certain amount.
Yeah, but they also have not looked at the fact at I had this thought there too, and it just went blank. I hate it. Anyway. Well, you know what I mean? When you look at it, I mean, the cost of what things are going to do, all right, and running your business and the cost of things, we have gotten into a world and society that goes, well, it costs me this much to live. And they go to the employer and say, I need this much. Yeah. And then the employer then has to raise their costs to do things. And then the employer, you know, I've gone to jobs, and I remember working for Starbucks, and really, you know, before I worked for Starbucks, I had $1 million company of my own, and I ended up, you know, making bad decisions that made me bankrupt, and I'd start over. So here you got this guy making $7 an hour, making you coffee, that just 9 months earlier was making $200,000 a month.
Yeah.
All right. Big change in perspective. Most people will be like, damn it, man, I can't believe that's all they're paying me is $7 an hour. At the time, I'm like, that's what the job pays. Let me give them the best of me at that spot. Yeah. They now I took ownership again in what I do. Most people have not taken ownership in the understanding of what it costs to run a business. Yeah. When you actually go out there and you are self-employed and you are now the 1099 person, you now have to own it as a business. This is not a job anymore. You can't go in and say, hey, I want the union to take care of me. All right. And I realize that there's, you know, $7 to pay me, but I want 12. They've never stopped and actually had to think of everyone else in that concept.
No.
This helps them take ownership and understand it. I've worked for owners over the years that, yes, I thought I was very well underpaid. I thought I deserved more, but the truth was they weren't paying me for what I was worth. They were paying me for what a job position was worth.
It's worth, exactly.
All right. You learn to do the job position for what that's worth, and then go find other work. That's taking ownership of the business. Instead of you demanding, well, come on, owner, I want more. You're rich. In some cases, that may be the case, but in the pandemic, I remember having the conversation with Larry Broughton. Honestly, Larry Broughton, all right, saying about how he had to let employees go and send them home through this pandemic, and he was so upset that he stopped taking a salary himself. And he's doing everything in his power to figure out how on earth can I keep these benefits going for these people. And here's a guy where everybody's going, well, the rich guy is getting richer. And here's a guy that's rich, if you want to call it rich, going, how do I take care of my employees? It's not about me at this time. I'm going to dip into my savings to pay my bills. What can I do to help them when I can't really help them by giving them a job? Yeah. I mean, and when I see people go, well, you know what I mean? You don't understand it. Well, that's ownership right there. That's free enterprise right there. It's got ups, it's got downs. Take ownership. If you're going to be a 1099 employee, all right, take ownership. If you are in a business and you have to actually outsource, you're going to look for the people who are going to take ownership. Because if you're going to hire the guy who's going to it's going to be the greatest deal he's ever gotten, and he wasn't grateful with the last deal he had, no matter how good your deal is, sooner or later he's going to be ungrateful for what you do.
Yep. Well, and that's part of this, like I said, is part of taking accountability. We've got, I mean, if you go back to the Uber thing. Yeah. Uber, they put in a business format that works perfectly if you think about it, because it's so much cheaper. They hired on people, it's 1099 instead of employees. And then they had an issue saying, well, I want benefits and I want this and I want that and I want this. It's like, you know, you've got the freedom. And granted, they may have taken a certain amount off the top or whatever the case may be, but until you put that business owner hat on, you're not going to understand what's going on in the back end, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think on both sides need to understand is, what are my employees going through? And the employees need to understand, what are the business owners going through? And I think, like you said, as businesses, we have a tendency to take that for granted. Oh, they've got a lot of money. They can manage.
Mom and I were sitting at Starbucks watching them trim the trees today. And I'm like, I was shocked because as an HOA, a condo HOA, I'm on the board and I've had to look at the budget for trimming our trees. And I'm like, oh my God, that is outrageous. Right. And my mom explained, you know what the insurance costs for each one of those employees to go out there and trim those trees? And she talked about friends who trimmed trees when she was little that died from a branch landing on their head. You know what I mean? And the insurances, put a roof on a house. You know what the cost for insurance companies for a roofing company is?
It's expensive.
So while you're looking at it going, well, come on, I could do that for $10 an hour. Why are they charging me $35? It's because they've got to pay insurances. They've got costs that come with that. And that's what, when you take on 1099s, you got to understand that. And the reason we don't want to, as we expand your business, take on employees, because you now take on twice as much work, all right, to have employees, as opposed to, let me outsource this, hire Katrina to do my website instead of bringing on a team to work for me to do my website.
Yeah.
That's why it's cheaper. All right. But that doesn't mean, you know what I mean? Well, Katrina, I can hire it and I can have it done for cheaper if I have them in staff. Can you really?
Yeah.
When the website's done, what are you going to pay them to do next?
Yeah.
Now you have contracted employees who gave up a previous job to come work for you for the benefits and everything. And now you're going to, okay, I'm done with you. Let me let you go. Do you think next time you go to hire a staff of people, they're going to come work for you?
No. And I tried the employee route. I did. I hired on some employees, and then during the downs and the lows and the ebb, I didn't have enough work to keep her going. Yeah. And I had to be honest with her. And so she had to go on and find something else, which I totally get. So I've done both models.
Yeah.
Trust me, this other model works a hell of a lot better than hiring an employee.
I've always had that model, even when I had my car wash business.
No.
I had 1099 people working for me in the car wash, and 90% of them, I paid them cash. They were, I hate to say this, they were day laborers.
Yeah.
And it was cheaper for me to pay that day laborer cash, giving him a free lunch that he never got anyway from most any other job he worked on. And at the end of the day, all right, my contract with him was done. You know what I mean? It saved me. All right. And I like that model. It's a great model, and it makes more people understand and taking ownership of a business.
Yeah. And ownership of their own capabilities as well. Yeah. And ownership of them doing the job instead of, okay, pay me. Where's my money? Where's my check?
Well, I want to transition to ownership into the topic I wanted to bring up today. Can I do that now?
Yes, go for it.
Taking ownership means, you know what I mean? When you commit to something, you need to actually follow through with your words, whether it hurts you or not. I have a rental business. I have a couple apartment rentals, and I had something like one of my rentals is the unit I used to live in. I actually had a washer and dryer into it. When we rented the unit out, we left the washer and dryer into it and put in the lease that we provide the washer and dryer. Now, all of my other rentals don't have a washer and dryer in the unit. The washer broke. So I had to go buy another washer.
No.
However, all right, I had to go in, and I went in and talked with my tenant and basically said it was a stackable unit because of the way the unit was. And I said, listen, I'm not buying that same unit to put back in there. And he goes, why? It's because that same unit is now $1,200. When I was living there, that was a $1,200 one I had from my previous home. Now I'm going to buy you a cheap model that goes in there. It's going to work fine. It'll probably work longer than this model did.
Yeah.
Right. So I did. I was like, okay, I've got to keep my word to my tenant. I've got to provide him with a washer. So immediately I outsource the job because I don't want to do it. I don't want to go pick up a washer, get a pickup truck, install it, carry it up the stairs, all that stuff, right?
No.
So what do I go to? I went to one of the top companies in the country that you think I would go to get one. Where do you think I went?
Home Depot.
Home Depot, yeah. Now I've bought to date from Home Depot, I've bought over 25 appliances between all my units.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And I bought most of them from the same Home Depot store.
That's a lot. You're a frequent Home Depot.
I have been. And I went there and I said, this is a scenario. I need to know that you can take care of it. I'm willing to pay the price. You tell me what the price is. I want that unit there. I want it delivered to my unit. I want it installed. And I want you to take the old one away. Okay. Here's the price to take it away. Here's the price for the unit. Here's the price for delivery. No problem. Here's my credit card. Right?
So they charged you for all of that?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
And finally, the third delivery date, they finally decided to show up on the third one they promised me. And anytime, you know what I mean? I promise a tenant something, and then they don't keep their promise because they promised me.
Yeah.
Again, I'm outsourcing a problem because I'm trying to keep my word. So it's frustrating me because I'm a guy who keeps my word. If I have to stay up all night tonight to keep my word to you, which last Friday I was sitting here whipping out a bunch of stuff that I had to have done because I committed to my coach for his book that I would do this. And it was pissing me off that I actually committed to him, but I'm like, I gave my word. I've got to do this. Right?
Yeah.
So they come and they show up and they go, okay, well, we're not going to install your washer. Like, I paid for that. Well, we can't because you have 2 stacked units. I said, yes, I told the salesman that. The salesman said, yes, we'll take care of that for you. I'm like, is there an extra charge? Because again, I gladly would have paid it.
Yes.
No, there's no extra charge. That's included. So now that I have waited almost a month for this to be delivered, I'm told, oh, no, we don't do that.
Sounds like the delivery guy just didn't want to do it.
Personally, the delivery guy was one of the laziest people I've ever met. He was, first of all, he was frustrated that he had to carry it onto a second floor when the contract said right on top, second floor delivery. I mean, typed in big words, second floor delivery.
Sounds like he was a disgruntled employee.
He was. So, and my mom told me at coffee this morning, she's like, well, you know, I mean, you go to Home Depot to try to make this right. And it's not about you being mad at Home Depot. It's about you being mad at that employee. The employee didn't do his job.
No, I agree.
There's an employee somewhere. Either the salesman lied to me and didn't do his job right, or the delivery guy lied to me and didn't do his job right.
Yep.
Either way, the contract made with me was not fulfilled.
Yep. I agree.
When it comes to your business, all right, and I've always been a proponent of, you know what I mean, keep your word. And this is there's a place in our town that I watched it not happen. But before that, I'll share with you one that did. Is last month, I decided to stop using one shopping cart that I've been using since 2013. And this past week, I'm reviewing my bank statement, going over to do my, you know what I mean, kind of going over it with it, update it and everything, and make sure everything's and I noticed they charged me again. I canceled it. I moved over to Kartra which both you and I are used now. It's Kartra. Yeah. All right. And I'm a little upset because I find out about 6 o'clock at night when they're closed for the night.
And there's nothing to do.
Yeah, so I get to go to dinner and be all frustrated about it, right? Which is a great thing to really lay on your wife, how frustrated you are.
Poor wife. Yeah. I'm sorry, Gwen.
Yeah. But again, I want people to keep their word to me, right? I called the next morning at 9:30 to the friendliest support staff member I've probably ever talked to. Mr. Gillette, I'm sorry that yes, it shows in here in the system. You called to cancel, and I'm sorry that you were charged. Let me start a process on getting the refund. Now, the refund is not in my account yet. All right. But I got an email saying your account's been discontinued. So I've got that confirmation. Very pleasant to me on the phone and very much handled the situation going, oh, I'm sorry. We did not keep our word to you.
Big difference between that and Home Depot.
No, I'm not done dealing with Home Depot yet. We'll see how it happens when we go to Home Depot. I may get a whole different thing when I go up there and talk to the manager.
Yeah, it's still big difference.
Yeah. I don't know what the process is. I'm still right now in the frustrated process because I've got a business to run and I've got things scheduled to do. I can't just up and drive to Home Depot in the middle of my day to go resolve this. I had to get someone to install a washer last night after I got done all my stuff, and I had to stand there and watch it because it's in my renter's apartment and he had to go to work.
Yeah.
All right. And my renter just so happens to have a large collection of, shall we say, rather nice guitars. So, yeah, of course, I enjoyed looking at it. I really wanted to plug it into an amp and play it while I was there, but I didn't. I won't do that to him. But I'm going to watch that because it's a very valuable things he has in his place. So I'm going to be there anyway. But I want people to keep their word. There is one man in our town who didn't keep his word, and it's one of the reasons I left this church. As the church here in town is called Prestonwood Baptist Church. Very good church. And I want to say the pastor of the church has always been someone on target with me. But he had a policy for the people who worked for the church or who taught Sunday school classes or family or life groups or something like that. There was a set of guidelines they had to sign. And one of the guidelines was they could not go to an R-rated movie. The church said no R-rated movies.
Okay.
Until The Passion of the Christ came out. Oh, we're going to make an exception for that.
That wasn't
right there. You lost me. You did not keep your word.
It wasn't worth it anyway.
Well, no, to me, The Passion of the Christ was an okay movie, and I get it. It matched the mission of the church, but it had an R rating. And basically you have to go, a good, honest, you call it Christian, a good, honest businessman keeps his word even when it hurts.
Yeah. And here's the thing, just to go off topic a little about that movie.
Yeah.
When that movie came out, I was working for Man Theaters.
Yeah.
Do you know how many picketers we had from the churches saying that it was blasphemy against Jesus and so on and so on and so forth? And that movie only made money because of that. If they had not said anything, nobody would have even noticed. It would have been a little blip on the screen. They wouldn't have even gotten any money whatsoever. But because they made a big deal over it, more people came to see it because of that. So in the future, I'm just saying, if you want to make a big deal over a movie and chastise it, don't say anything, because trust me, it'll just go away. No one will know it was there. Just saying. And
it's so true. That movie, when it came, I personally, all right, my personal beliefs on the matter is that I believe that movie Americanized the situation.
Yeah.
All right. What I mean by Americanized the situation is, trust me, it was a lot more violent than they're able to show you on camera.
Yes.
And I don't think we could actually take the amount of violence that was in those days. I don't think we could take it. I think we're so
very
sensitized to this stuff that we could not take some of the torture methods that were done in medieval times that you and I don't even want to think about.
No.
So, but anyway, yeah, you can protest all the stuff you want. Remember the people, it was Tipper Gore going to Congress on the rock star language. And what they do, they put that explicit on the selling of the albums and selling of the CDs. And what happened? People bought more.
They sell more.
Yeah.
So if you don't want it that's the thing. Just don't say anything. It'll go away.
It'll go away.
And no one will even notice. But they make a big deal out of it. And guess what? Now it's even bigger than they intended, because it's like,
I realize we've gone further into the show because that one topic took an awful lot today. But we have to get our tips out for today. Your business tip of the week, or your website tip of the week. What is it?
So my website tip of the week is, what is the best option for a website, whether it be a themed WordPress site or a coded WordPress site. And when I say coded, I mean completely coded, HTML, CSS coding. So here are the pros and the cons. The pros in regards to a theme site is that it's done really well. It's still done just like a coded one. It's much easier to keep up to date. It's going to cost you a hell of a lot less, because if you have a coded one, you're going to have to find somebody who does pure coding. It's going to cost you a lot more money, and things have a tendency to break a little bit more, especially with the plugins when it comes to coded ones as opposed to the themed ones. So I'm just saying that when somebody comes to you and they do a website, I highly recommend that you stay totally away from a completely coded site. And if you don't know about that, we'll have a discussion on that later on. But that's my tip of the week.
That's a pretty good tip of the week.
That's my tip of the week.
All right. So
you're going to present
the tip this week. I got to come up with a tip every week too. You got to hold me accountable to this, Katrina. Come on.
I'm trying. I mean, you have to admit that I've done pretty good. I've come up with.
You do.
I come up with these topics and I come up with their talking points and I send them across, and then Tim will say, yeah, that's good, or yeah, that's not. And we talk about
I think I add like maybe one a week. That's all I really add. You come up with most of them and I kind of add and I tweak them. That's it. So we have one topic that we just decided to pull out. Well, I don't think that's going to go. We just pull it out.
Yep.
So
I'm just saying, I'm trying to be I'm a very organized person. I need to be organized to know what we're going to talk about.
Yeah. Tim's tip of the week. All right. When you need good people on your team, hire somebody like Katrina to work on your team with you.
Because now
the show starts looking good. All right. And people have no idea that the reason it's looking good isn't because of you. It's because of them.
Yeah. It's like, which way do I point?
Which way do I point? I don't know. I forgot.
That way. This way.
Yeah.
That way.
But anyway, really, I mean, the biggest thing I can give you guys for a tip that I've got this week is, you've got to be able to keep your word in your business. All right. Katrina and I work very hard, and I can tell you, I'm pretty sure Katrina has the same things as me. There's times that we don't make money as a business. We're small business people, and there's weeks that we have that we pay to go to work. I had a couple years ago, I think it was 2016 or 17. I paid $30,000 to go to work that year. And most people will be like, yeah, but you're a business owner, you're rich. Great. I had years that I made millions. All right. But I've had years that I've had to pay to go to work. All right. And most people don't get that. When you take ownership of what you do, all right, you actually run your business, you keep your word, you will be in business longer. The people who make it throughout in business and stay long-term are the ones who just keep their word. They're not looking for, how do I be profitable this very second? All right. Instead of, how do I be profitable long-term? And the number one thing that you can profitable is keeping your word in everything you do. Whatever you sell, deliver. All right. As a matter of fact, I don't just deliver. I want to over-deliver, because I want to make sure that everything I do makes you go, okay, Tim was great. You know what I mean? And it's not that I was trying to get people to say I'm great, but the idea behind it is, I don't want to give you any excuse to go to social media to complain about me.
Yeah. And it upsets me when things don't go the way I intend them to go. I really take it to heart, because I want to put something out there that's perfect for the client and so forth. And sometimes so much so that it's in nauseum. I'm just saying.
I working on, and I don't know, and this is going to go into our next topic as we go, is I'm working on right now a new idea, because it was a hobby or something I wanted to try doing. And I said, the only way I'm going to do it is if I can be profitable doing it. Right. However, I outlaid so far, I think I'm up to over $1,000 outlaying to get this thing ready to try. Like, I make my first sale. All right. I'm still in the hole because anyway, I'll recoup. In my first sale, I may recoup my money that I've spent, but it'll probably take 2 sales to recoup everything I've spent to set this up.
And I have an idea for your topic or what you're doing is, have you thought about possibly, instead of going to corporate, non-profit organizations, because they can auction it off and get more money for their nonprofit organization?
See, and that's where I'm going to mainly. It's not corporations. Well, corporations could be, but some of them corporations, like our friend Craig has a corporation, but he also has a charity that goes with the corporation.
Yeah.
So he would do that. They would buy it for the corporation, have one of them for their corporation, and then they would be able to auction others off to raise money.
Yeah.
So
nonprofits could really bring in a lot of money for their nonprofit organizations by, especially in the Texas area as well as the California area. I'm just saying.
So this was just the first 5 days of things I had to do. And if you notice, every day there was like 3 things I did on each day. And then basically what I'm going to do is turn this into a PowerPoint and into a training, because now I got the examples to point to in the training to telling people creating an online business.
Very nice. Yeah. He's talking the talk and walking the walk.
Which brings us to our next topic. How do you get your next business idea to flourish instead of flop?
Yeah. Well, and this has been a hard one, I think, for most entrepreneurs. I know it was hard for me as well. Is a lot of entrepreneurs go into business thinking, I've got a great idea. I'm really good at this. So I think I can make a lot of money at this and da, 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 da. But what they don't realize is there are at least 3 key things that they have to remember, maybe even 4. And one of them in sense is they need to know who their audience is. And a lot of us don't. A lot of us go in, I mean, it's the model that, and it used to kill me when I go to networking groups. So, and I get this a lot where, so who's your audience? Oh, everybody that has skin, everybody that has a back, everybody that has hands. That's a wrong answer. You can't service everybody. And so you have to have that unique audience. And who is that unique audience that you service? Whether that be the industry, whatever. You have to have that in your mind. And sometimes you're not quite sure yet. And you have to figure that out. But in order to sell, you've got to have the audience to sell to. And that's part of it. Plus, the other part and the caveat on that is your messaging. If you don't know who your audience is, how are you going to give them a message so that they understand exactly what you do? That's the other key, is a lot of times people go on about how they've done this, they've done that, they're great at this, they're great at that. And as we've talked about this on the show, it's not about you, it's about them. So when you're walking into a networking event, it's all about that person right in front of you. What can you do to help that person right now? Whether you be asking them questions, whatever the case may be, then you figure out what your messaging is. And you have to know your audience in order to do that. And that takes a little time sometimes because it's hard to figure out. And then the other one that I know is one of mine that kind of has been a hard one for me is knowing your numbers. How much do you want to make? A lot of people say, oh, I want to make at least 120,000. Okay. So how much do you have to make per month, per week, per day to get to that 120,000? And how much are you charging the client so you can get to that? And some people will just say, oh, well, I'll just charge like $20,000. But
if you're offering a service that's only worth $50, and you're trying to charge $500 for it, because to get your lifestyle, it's not going to work.
No.
What will the customer pay for it?
Yep.
What is the product worth? What is the service worth? All right. And I mean, this goes both ways in this, Katrina, because people are not sitting down and thinking about that. Yes, you start with who that customer is. Who is it? What does he need? I provide it to it. What do I want to make? So if I want to make $100,000 a year and my profit off of every sale is $5, guess what? I got a lot of freaking products to make.
A lot. And you have to talk to a lot of people. A lot of networking.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand. And it was a hard thing for me to understand for a long time. A lot of people go in and they say, I'm going to make this much money. I'm gung ho. I'm going to charge this much and charge that much. And then the first person they go to and they say, it's this much, they go, maybe not. And then I put
my number out there you see what happened when I put my number out there on Tuesday? Everybody's like, there's some people, and I'm like, dude, let me show you what's out there in the marketplace is why I came up with that number.
Well, and that's part of it too, is you've got to look at your industry and look at the competition. What are they charging? What does theirs look like? What does their service or product look like? How does yours differ from theirs? Why should I buy from you as opposed to over here?
Now, and it's funny. I actually had a gentleman here in Dallas area. He was a client of mine for a while, and he had a service that he was going to try to offer at $500 a month. However, he gave, we did a swap of services so I could try that service out, right? It was not worth $500 a month.
No.
So then, towards the end of our period, when I was coaching and working with him again, I said to him, I said, well, try this. Say, normally it is this much money per month, but I'm offering you for the next 3 months for 1/2 of that. But you've got to pay that cash up front. And then you've got to also sign a contract. And I'm offering it to you as a deal, and see what people are willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
You get a ton of people jump on the 90-day thing right away, because it's like, I'm like, dude, adjust your prices.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, adjust your prices. If that worked, lather, rinse, repeat, dude. If it works, do it again.
And sometimes you have to start at a small price and work your way up. But you have to start somewhere, and that's the whole point. That a lot of people go in saying, "Well, I'm going to make $1 million." Okay, how are you going to do that? I'm just going to charge them a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it worth that much? Of course it is.
Yeah. Go back to the movie, The Social Network. It came out, 10, 11 years ago about the Facebook story, right?
It's a great movie.
Yeah, it was. And his college friend, who was his best friend, had this whole, we got to monetize this. He goes, no, we don't even know what this is yet.
Yeah.
Right? And then they meet the guy, Sean Parker or whatever. And he talks about how big this could be. You're sitting on $1 billion payday.
Yep.
Do you not understand this? And if you go the standard route that everybody goes, you're going to take your $1 billion payday and it's going to go for less than $1 million. As opposed to you do this right. And I think Mark Zuckerberg got the vision of, if I just do this right, not worry about the payday today. How do I keep the lights on to make this work? Because this has got big global impact. Imagine, all right, if they went with the partners idea, where would Facebook be today?
It wouldn't be where it is now.
Nope, it would not. It would have been, Sean Parker said in an interview, I watched tons of Sean Parker interviews after that. He said the social media network, because MySpace was the biggest thing at that time. He says the social media network that was supposed to be the icon of icons and it was going to take the world was Friendster. How many of you even remember Friendster?
I remember Friendster. Yeah.
I barely remember Friendster.
Yeah, I remember Friendster.
And so many of us are out there, all right, who won't adjust what we do and take the big vision on, all right, to make our thing flourish and prosper because we want to make the money now as opposed to make yourself profitable now. In other words, if you may, I love Robert Kiyosaki has explained this in his Rich Dad, Poor Dad concept for years. Wealthy is making $1 more a month than your monthly expenses are, but making it in residual income where you don't have to go do the work.
Yep.
That's wealthy. Yep. Profitable. Make $1 more than it costs you to make it.
True. Very true.
Get the system down, all right, and raise your prices as time goes on and you build it. I'm selling something, all right, you know what I mean, as I launch it here in the next couple months that I don't know if it's going to take off or not. I'm going to have fun doing it. I'm not going to lose money doing it, but I'm going to try it. The market may not bear what I have to offer. Yeah. And I may have to go, okay, market didn't bear. I can either lower my price or I can do it.
Yep. And as an entrepreneur, you have got to be flexible.
Yeah.
You can't just say it's this or the highway. You've got to be flexible and you've got to move with the ems and the flows and the ups and the downs. You've got to move with it. I mean, look how many people made shifts in COVID-19 in this whole COVID crappy year. There were people out there that made millions of dollars while the rest of us were suffering.
Yeah.
Because they made the shift. They saw what they could do. They made the shift and they did it before everybody else. And they're the ones that profited. And that's what Tim is talking about, is that big picture. You've got to look out there in the future wise and see, well, if I do this and nobody else is doing that, I think this is viable. I can start making a lot of money. And that's what they did. They saw that opportunity and they went out, they grasped it, and now everybody's doing it. And that just goes to show with business, just like with Facebook. Now everybody's on board trying to look a lot like Facebook. Did you not hear? You read about Twitter? They're changing their format to look very similar to
Facebook.
I'm just saying.
And really, and most people don't look at the business thing onto doing this. All right. And this kind of fits into this topic today, along with the web topic is, remember when Snapchat came out a couple years ago?
Yep.
Snapchat came out. And I think I've said this on more of our broadcasts than I probably meant to, but Snapchat come out and everybody's like, Snapchat's the next biggest thing right now. Everybody's saying, Clubhouse, the next biggest thing. Snapchat rushed from where they launched to where they went public. Snapchat's like a $14 share.
Yep.
All right. Stock. Facebook is a $200 a share stock that started out as a $30 a share stock. Why did Facebook grow? Because Facebook took their time to build this. They built the model out. They built an audience. And I said when Snapchat came out with their what now is considered with stories was their biggest thing into it was photo and it was stories. I said Instagram, Facebook's going to do this in Instagram. And they're basically going to repeat it and it's going to be more useful.
Yep.
And here's why it worked. Because Facebook has an audience already they can tap into. Snapchat had to build the audience. Once you build the audience, ladies and gentlemen, you can add other features. That's why I'm trying a different venture. I have an audience. I can try this on. most of you won't actually go out there and build an audience first. Start with
building
your blog, a podcast of all things.
Or just putting simple things out there, even with Facebook, simple tidbits of showing your expertise. That's something I'm guilty of, and I need to do. And that's my goal, is to get that. I'm hired a team. They're going to do that for me, so I don't have to. But that's the whole point, is you want to be out there. You want to be consistent so that people will see you, and you start to build that momentum. And now people are watching you on a regular basis. Wow, we're at the top of the hour.
Top of the hour, ladies and gentlemen. You know what that means?
Wow, that was an exciting show, and it's gonna just get better, ladies and gentlemen. So join us each Friday.
So that being said, we're gonna have to close this out. All right, Katrina, tell everybody about your website and how they find you.
You can find me at KG website designs.com, and we help you build your website so that it will gain you leads, build your business, and make you more money. That's what we specialize in.
Cool. Guys, I'm Tim Gillette, Simple Easy Events, all right, hosting a monthly event on online marketing, helping you, no matter where you're at, no matter what spot you're at in the online world, to actually get out and get building. This is not gurus telling you how they went from 1 million to 2 million. Yep. No, this is actual people who are actually in the trenches, just like you, all right, and they're probably one step, maybe 2 steps ahead of you, and they're going to do what they can to help you get to where they're at. And then you help people get up to you. It's the way our whole thing is built. SimpleEasyEvents.com. All right. The only model like it on the web. I'm Tim Gillette, and I thank you for being part of our show today.
And I'm Katrina Garcia. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. We will see you guys next week. In the meantime, have a great week.